Today I just want to kind of introduce you to what I'm going to start doing are called Soulful Sessions. And they're just sort of created from inspiring moments I've had with other dear friends or women who are sort of on that same path to inspire others and or make some changes in their own lives. And my dear friend Chandra and I today sort of had this really great conversation last week, and that's sort of where it all stemmed from. So I decided to just start here. And so I'm going to introduce a little bit about Chandra right now. Chandra is someone who is very successful in a business that she started on her own back in 2000, I believe, and it's a marketing company. And then within this past year, she herself launched sort of a lifestyle brand company she calls Glow Living. So based upon that, though, I want to give just a brief history of how she and I met. I had recently moved to the Bay Area and was kind of a lost soul. And so she actually, with this really kind, open heart, you could just see it, introduced herself to me, of all places, at the gym, which is a place that I really resonate in and am comfortable in. But I was very closed off at the time, very insecure. It was only a few years ago. And I sensed immediately her warmness, her genuineness, and she really seemed to see me in a different way. And we have been friends since that day. And I'm so, so grateful to you for introducing yourself and speaking up. So anyhow, from that moment, what is something that I think is so great is that you sort of have this, you have an innate emotional and creative ingenuity and genius. And so where does that little creativity spark from?
Gosh, where does it spark from? It sparks from relationships. You know, it sparks from my reflection to others, I believe. I think it's that I care deeply about people, and I can feel their energy, and I feel like it's very easy for me to be inspired, or I'm empathic enough to feel if they're in pain. And typically I want to support people to live a life they love whenever I can. So I think it really comes from that. It's just a genuine interest in building a community that is supportive of each other, non-competitive, that is really lifting us all to our highest potential.
It's interesting because when you talk about helping people live a life you love, you really obviously, you have so much faith in people that that's what they should be doing, and you can sense that all the time. So you use that word glow, and I have no idea. I'm just curious, where did that stem from? I think originally it was for your marketing, obviously, agency that you developed, but you transferred it into your brand now with Glow Living. What does that word stem from? What does it mean to you?
Well, it's funny because I think you see the word glow all the time now, whether it be for tanning or perfumes or whatever. But so I think people have caught on to the meaning of glow. But originally, I took it on as the name of my marketing agency because it meant to shine brightly and steadily. And so I thought, in terms of my clients, what I'm trying to do for them is to help them shine above their competition and in a way that's steady, so that they would have long-term success. But as I started thinking about my own lifestyle brand and kind of my own lifestyle in general, I started thinking that my goal was to personally glow, which I believe starts from within and radiates out. So, it's a combination of really body, mind, and spirit. It's looking at what it is that I need to do to, for my own personal growth and development, my own spirituality, my own soulfulness from the inside. But then what do I need to do for my physical body to thrive in terms of, healthy living, healthy nutrition, fitness. And one of the things that I was so attracted to you about is, here you are doing pull-ups in the gym, and I just wanted to compliment you and your not only like where you were at your level, but also to just your energy was so infectious and inspiring for me, and I wanted to be around it, and I wanted to learn from you, and I just felt like this is going to be a great match because I wanted to learn some of the skills that you had. And I think that as we've grown, you have brought on additional coaching skills that have transcended the body, and you've started to get into, you know, personal growth as well. And so we're just so like-minded.
It was so funny last week when we were chatting, and like you talked about that light for you with the glow. And so part of my mission is that same thing, soul, meaning the sun, the light, that good energy. But last week when I was really reached out to you, sort of just to give me some guidelines, and you know, this is going to sound a little crazy, but when I walked away from there, I called a friend that we both share, and I said, I did not realize, I mean, we have a superstar on our hands. Now, I know that sounds crazy, really, but I was like, there is so much to learn from you. I could have talked to you for hours that day. And so I then really realized how much more of an impact you can really have on not only individuals, but, you know, just a greater sense in the community in general. And so kind of going back to glow living, what is that? You really spoke about, I guess, some of the things that you really want to do, and I so resonated with it in my sense of what I would like to do, but I was like, okay, this girl can really help me to also reach out. So what's sort of the mission behind, I guess, what's the mission behind Glow Living then?
Okay, so there's a few parts to that. First of all, the mission is to help people love life. We all, for some reason, struggle to do that. I think there's just so many challenges from, obviously, our upbringing, you know, our childhoods and things like that, but also just day to day. I mean, the economy is difficult, the political situation is difficult, I mean, our relationships are difficult. So we have all these external factors that we have to deal with. And part of me was thinking in terms of, well, how do we navigate this gracefully? And, you know, is grace, you know, my thing? And then I realized, you know, it's that I, in the past, had a history of depression, and I feel like there were many times in my life that I did not love life. I was like, how do I get through this, you know? And I decided, you know what, it's my platform to learn how to love life. It's my platform to learn to love life, and now it's to help others to love life. And I actually had a friend who is another marketing genius who was like, tell me what you're wanting to do. And I started talking. She goes, no, in 5 words. And I was like, 5 words? Oh, my God. And it took me a minute, but I got back to her and I said, I want to help people love life. How many is that? Or help people love life. I mean, it was like 4 or something. And she goes, yes, okay, I get what you're saying, but how do you really do that? So for me, my platform is to, is really to look at personal growth. And so I built, obviously I have a website. It has a community on it. It has a blog. I have social media pages. I have a lessons learned video series that's all about shortcuts to greatness, where I'm interviewing other people. I have 2 online courses available now, both called Root to Rise. One is for everybody, and one is specifically for men who are recovering from a romantic loss. And and I'm also writing a book. So I am developing the content right now. I am trying to get all the content together so that I can roll it out. Now, I think where I feel there's a lot of hope and possibility is that because of my marketing background, I think it has readied me to reach people from on a larger stage. Okay. Many people, like my grandparents, were both psychologists who worked with people one-on-one. And I decided that although I want to do one-on-one coaching for my own growth in that area, that really I'm born to do this on a much larger stage. I want to reach a lot of people. And I don't just want to do it superficially. I want the deep dive, but I want it to affect a lot of people. And it's a huge mission, and I'm not going to be able to do it alone. But it's through this content that I'm developing that I'm hoping will find its way out to everyone.
So a couple things that you said that were so great was just that it's a big mission. It's something that you really have belief, faith, and a desire in to really reach a lot of people. This isn't just you taking care of you. You know, I mean, that's something that you've worked on, you've done the work, you've felt depressed. I mean, that's where, in my case, in working with women, that's just it. We get trapped in the anxiety of daily living, the daily responsibilities, the depression, the anxiety, the raising of the family, financially, relationships, all that stuff. And you really brought to my attention something that I learned so much from in order to just work in my own business. I mean, one thing I think that women really, I have found that women need to do is it's okay to reach out to your other friends. You aren't alone in doing these things. And if Chandra if you had never reached out to me, and never said hello, it would have taken me that much longer. Eventually I would have gotten out of my thing, but there's, I am one of those people like you, I think, who believe that people meet for specific reasons. And some of the other things that I've really gained from you is I think that you showed me, and this is my point for other women, is that, look for the signs from your other friends. Look for those things that you showed me that I could do more than just get out of the fitness space, that there was a little bit more opportunities if I was willing to kind of open up and see that and move through my own challenges. I mean, and you weren't coaching me. It was just in our daily conversations that those things came up. And then the other day, there was some things that you said that I could absolutely put back into my own coaching business. And it was definitely in relationship to things about how we need to take care of ourselves, the things that we need to look at in order to move forward. And I wish I could be.
I think it was related to Root to Rise when I was talking about our foundation.
Yes, I love that.
I can expand on that.
Please.
So first of all, thank you for that, because I mean, it makes me feel great to think that not only did our connection open you up, but that somehow we've been able to manifest a relationship where we're growing and learning from each other, because it's mutual for me. Mm-hmm. But I think it's partially because I come from a mindset that's really based on an abundant mentality. I don't have a I may be competitive with myself in some ways in terms of meeting my goals, but I'm not competitive with other people. I really do believe that your success is my success, because we are a community, and I want to help lift up people to reach whatever goals that they have for themselves, because it's just like happy people, happy planet, right? I mean,
yeah.
Let's all be vibrating
Yes.
at a higher frequency in a happier way. And I think it benefits everybody. And certainly as parents and being models for other, for young people and things like that is super important. So I guess for me, I think there's, especially meeting in the gym, I've seen a lot of competitive aspects to it, mm-hmm. But I don't have that innately. Like for me, I really do want to help people succeed, and I don't see that by them succeeding that there's any less light available for me. So, I mean, I guess it's part of the mentality. Some people think that if somebody else is successful, that somehow that's going to reduce their ability to.
Right. I mean, I think we, as women in general, there is two things. You that judgment piece of, oh, well, she's good, so she has it good. Like, they don't understand that there was work put into that, and it's okay to work, right? So that's just a little bit of that lack of ability to work, but they just don't see it for themselves. So, and yes, that competitive nature or that sense of comparison, it's so prevalent.
Especially on social media and in the gym and, and everything else. I mean, I've definitely found times when I'm like, I haven't ever seen that girl there at the gym, and look at how their body is. It's like, are they even working out? And I'll think how much I'm working out now,
Right.
And whenever I get into that mode, I know I'm on the wrong path.
Right. And it does. And everybody does do that.
So you mentioned that when we had a conversation recently that it impacted you, and it was, I gave you some things that could be really used in your mm-hmm. own consulting business. And I think you're referring to some of the foundational stuff that I have put into my Root to Rise course. So if I remember correctly, we were talking about how at the beginning of the course, I have people go in and evaluate their root system, which is basically the five main value areas of their life. So, your health and fitness, from a personal level, your relationships, your parenting, your career, and your friends. Those are the kind of 5 areas that I have people evaluate. And what I'm doing is I'm basically having them take a look without judgment, kind of where they are, which areas have roots that are long and strong, and which areas, need nourishment. And there's lots of reasons why we can't have all of our root system really strong all the time. It's just a matter of focus and being able to balance things. And so many times when we say we focus on our careers, and maybe our family roots starts to need help, or maybe we focus on our family and really lose sight of our own personal health and fitness in the process. So there's a lot of times when I think, especially at our age, where we'll start to come back around to taking care of ourselves after taking care of kids and things like that, and goals start to shift. And so looking at this root system, figuring out where you are is one of the first steps. And without that strong foundation, real understanding about why some roots get blocked from growing, it may be because of use of substances. It may be a bad relationship that that you can't get out of. It could be not really giving yourself permission to explore the career path that's really in your heart, and instead focusing on something you think you should do. And I get that a lot in the music industry. I have a lot of people who are true creatives that don't think that that's a legitimate path for them, and have shoehorned themselves into jobs that they're really dissatisfied with, and lock down their creativity. So sometimes we need to take a closer look at what's working, what's not working, and come out with a very practical plan for how to strengthen the roots that are weak, and how to continue to nourish the ones that are strong, so that we don't lose ground on that. But the whole point of it is to have a strong, stable foundation in order to rise up and really reach that full potential that we have, where we're connecting with a higher purpose, we're reaching our goals, we're living out our bucket list, we're contributing beyond ourselves, and we're growing. Because I truly believe if we're not growing, we're dying inside. We're not thriving. We're limiting our joy, and we talked about that.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things. About the giving permission. I find that, with the women that I work with, Chandra works with both men and women, but I work with primarily women, and women don't give themselves permission. They don't give themselves permission to take care of their bodies. They don't always, and their families, and their careers. There's always something else that's being juggled. So I think that's a great piece. And we aren't meant to be stagnant, right? I talked about this a little bit earlier today, as well as what I find is really interesting is for women who do raise children and raise a family, we're always, telling them that there are no limits, that there are no limitations, that they can be the creator they want to be, that they can work for what they want to try to do, that, that they're capable of doing what they want. There is no limitation. And if there is a physical limitation or an emotional limitation, as parents, for the most part, we work to help them, but then all of a sudden we limit ourselves. We don't see our own possibilities. And so I love that root to rise thing, because that's just it. Let's get back down to the roots, so that you can see that you also have unlimited potential if you're willing to thrive. And for those, some people don't want to, and that's the other thing that I've seen in that, and so it's really interesting to see that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that the thing is that nobody does anything they don't want to do, and we all do what we want to do when it really comes down to it. So if we don't want to do something, we could come up with lots of excuses, and you'll definitely see that when it comes to health and fitness and nutrition. People, you probably heard thousands of excuses. Really comes back to the core of what needs are you serving in the process. So the thing about the Root to Rise course is, once they've evaluated their root systems, I have them evaluate it based on human needs psychology. So they're really looking at, how is, say, my relationship serving my needs for certainty and security? How is my relationship serving my need for variety and uncertainty and spice in life? How is my relationship serving my need to feel significant and feel like I'm valued and I have a purpose? How is my relationship giving me love and connection? How is my relationship growing me as a person?
Right.
And how is my relationship allowing me to contribute beyond myself? And so those are the 6 human needs that each one of the value systems it gets evaluated based on. So it's not just saying, oh, my root is short. It's real specific. It's, I am serving my needs for love and connection in my relationship at a 5. Well, what does that mean? 5 out of 10. 5 means I'm okay. Doesn't mean I'm good and great and awesome and 8, 9, 10 level. It doesn't mean that it's so bad that I'm going to leave the relationship. It just means that I'm okay. And there's a consequence to just being okay, because you're lowering your standards, or you don't, for whatever reason, have the standard that you deserve to live in an 8, 9, 10.
That's sort of an apathetic reality. I mean, and that's kind of how I look at it with some of the things that have come up with children. You know, it's like, that's kind of apathetic. And interestingly enough, too, that's something that I look at in relationship to people with food. You know, specifically is, what need is that filling, right? Is it a sense of security? Is it a relationship? Is it a loss? Is it, whatever it is. So
most times if there's a food, addiction or a real problem, it's usually that food is meeting that person's needs, at least 3 of them, at really high levels. And with food, you can get all of your needs met with food. I mean, you can be, we talked about this at one point, you're certain that it's there. It provides comfort and security. There's endless variety with food and recipes. There's, and they talk about spice of life, there you go,
Yeah.
add the spice in. You can love and connect with food by sharing it with other people. You can have a significance by, being a chef and being known for being, have a special, way that you cook. We can get growth. I mean, there's a lot of things to learn about food, even healthy ways, like learning how to use food for medicine,
Right.
healing and things like that. So there's no end to the focus on food. The need to contribute beyond yourself. People are out there doing food drives and food donations and things like that. It's still a focus on food, but it's meeting your needs at high levels. And if you have somebody who has a focus on food, they're probably getting their needs met at super high levels, and that's why it's become such a strong force in their life.
Yeah. There's so much. I mean, I would love to sit here and talk to you and have you coach me and do all kinds of fun stuff. But I mean, also there's, you and I will sometimes come up and brainstorm ideas on how we can help others in our prospective businesses and just in general in the community at large, or we just having fun with, what's going on in the world. And I love those deep conversations. And what I really want people to get is that, it's great to reach out to people like you to sort of help just put some things in perspective. And especially, let's get to those roots to have the life and to have a thriving, healthy, satisfying life. So a question I kind of want to tie things up with is if there was, just really one important piece that you could share with everyone, if there was just one thing that you wanted people to know, not maybe about you, maybe about what you do, maybe about, a message to humanity, if there was just sort of one thing that was kind of the one thing that said, this is Glow Living, this is Chandra, and that was the last thing you had to say, what might that be?
That is a really powerful question.
I know, sorry. I tried to dial it in.
Well, that's funny is because I have a lot of things to say. So, and I'll try to keep it brief. If I started this talk with you and told you that my platform is to help people love life, and I think in order to do that, we need to learn emotional mastery. Because what happens is based on how we use our bodies, our physiology, what we focus on, in our lives in terms of where our mind goes, the meanings that we attach to the way that we think and see things, all are responsible for the emotions that are delivered as a result of what we're attracting from that process. So we actually have more mastery over our emotions than we think. And I think a lot of times, I remember in my having a few depressive cycles where I just felt like a victim. This emotional state is washing over me. It's just happening to me. And it wasn't until I really understood emotional mastery that I realized that there are things that I do to bring that negative state about, and that there are things that I can do to A, prevent it, or B, get myself out of it. And when I realized that, I was so much more empowered, and I wished I had learned it in my teens, honestly. If I had been able to have somebody coach me on emotional mastery when I was a teenager, I think I probably would have really bypassed so much distress in my life. Because depression and anxiety and all that stuff, it's all because of the things, the patterns that we get into to summon different emotions. And there's reasons why we do it. It relates back to those human needs and what we get out of it and everything else. And those drive our decisions. And so I would say that if I wanted to share anything with anybody that wants to pursue the mission of loving life, that they need to start with their own personal emotional mastery.
I am so grateful for us. I mean, for you, so much so. And I don't know about any of you, but if you can see, this is a gifted, gifted woman, and I'm so glad that we did this. I hope you get something out of this. And once again, I just ask from my heart, truly, that if you are someone who just would like to thrive, who wants to kind of do the emotional mastery thing, you know, that's what we're here for. So anyhow, have a beautiful, beautiful day, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Deb.
you're welcome. Yay!